Farhad Manjoo, True Enough, Learning to Live in a Post-Fact Society. Welcome to the world of A True Enough, Learning to Live in a Post-Fact Society by Farhad Manjoo. In this book's summary, we explore the impact of the internet on the fragmentation of news and how this has allowed people to spread opinions, even if they're false. From swift boat veterans to conspiracy theories surrounding 9/11, we'll investigate how pre-existing beliefs shape our perception of events, how selective exposure bias and political partisanship can cloud our judgment, and how media corporations twist facts to fit their agendas. We'll also examine the dangers of unverified experts sharing their opinions online and the waning trust among people in today's society.
The power of fragmented news. With the rise of the internet, news and information channels have become fragmented, giving people the power to produce, distribute, and edit their own news. While this development allows for the spread of opinions, it also opens the door for misinformation to sway public opinion. An example of this is the swift boat veterans, who successfully discredited John Kerry in the 2004 presidential election through their false claims. The internet has given individuals the ability to easily and effectively spread their message, making it easier than ever to change public opinion without relying on mass media. The uncertainty of truth in a world of overwhelming coverage. In a world where we have access to an abundance of photos and videos of significant events, it's still difficult to agree on what truly happened. This was evident in the 9/11 terrorist attacks, where despite overwhelming coverage, many Americans doubt that the attacks were properly investigated. Even with clear evidence, pre-existing beliefs can shape our perception and make it hard to reach a consensus. A study of a 1951 football game showed that fans of both teams disagreed on which team played dirtier, suggesting that preconceived notions are often the cause of different interpretations of the same evidence. It's clear that video proof isn't always enough to establish what really happened, but it's vital to critically assess the information we see and rely on solid evidence rather than personal beliefs. The danger of selective exposure bias. Our beliefs not only shape our perception of reality but also determine what we perceive in the first place. Selective exposure bias makes us choose information that aligns with our beliefs, leading us to dismiss facts that contradict them. In a study, smokers and non-smokers were more interested in information that confirmed their beliefs rather than the opposing one. Christine Majori was a tragic example of what happens when we reject information that goes against our views. She refused to believe that HIV caused AIDS, depriving her daughter of proper treatment and resulting in her death. We're all vulnerable to selective exposure bias, and it can have severe consequences. Political biases in media consumption. People tend to access news material that aligns with their political beliefs. This tendency is more pronounced among Republicans who show a preference for brochures with strong messages they already agree with. This preference extends to blog posts with conservatives linking only to other conservative blogs. Despite their differences, both Democrats and Republicans believe that the media is biased against them, a phenomenon known as the hostile media phenomenon. However, studies have shown that there are numerous programs targeted at both groups. When asked to recall news information, both parties remembered more facts and arguments from the other side, yet they remain convinced of media bias towards the other side, even though there is no evidence for it. Propaganda in media. News channels' use of high and low feedback topics. Media corporations are always careful about spreading propaganda, even if false information spreads easily. News channels should never twist high feedback topics to fit a certain agenda. High feedback topics comprise hard facts that can be easily checked by the audience, such as weather reports, sports results, or stock market updates. News channels do not lie about high feedback topics because they are easy to verify. Instead, channels use false information to twist low feedback topics like healthcare, tax policies, or necessities of war. Such topics do not have definite truths that can be easily checked. For instance, the topic of global warming is a classic low feedback topic. Fox News constantly doubts global warming by presenting information in a way that argues against it. Fox News takes real facts that are mostly true, like evidence from a drought, flood, or good harvest, and presents them in a misleading way to argue against global warming. This type of propaganda is hard to prove wrong because their facts are factual. News channels need to ensure their propaganda is nuanced enough to deceive the audience because low-feedback topics are challenging to expose. Subtle influence. PR firms use indirect campaigns to influence public opinion, especially for products facing declining popularity. RJR, the second-largest tobacco firm in the U.S., tried to counteract new laws limited them in the 1990s with a campaign called Choice. The campaign failed and created a huge backlash, so RJR redesigned it in small but significant ways as a grassroots movement called GGOB, Get the Government Off Our Backs. Their approach was widely accepted and helped prevent some of the harshest laws, such as a ban on cigarettes in the workplace. Corporations like RJR know that direct messages can make people wary, hence they prefer to launch subtle campaigns to influence the public without them noticing. Cheap video production and its unforeseen consequences. With the digital revolution, it has become cheap and easy for anyone to produce and distribute videos. This has given rise to the spread of conspiracy theories and the infiltration of advertisements into news programs without viewers realizing it. Dylan Avery's Loose Change, made for less than $2,000, became a top-ranked movie on Google video charts. Advertisers now use the video system Pathfire to distribute video news releases, VNRs, to TV stations, which prefer them to original footage because they are cheaper. As a result, advertisements can be inserted into news stories, compromising the integrity of journalism. With so many people producing video content, false information and advertising become difficult to escape. Beware of false experts. With the rise of social media and online platforms, it's becoming increasingly challenging to distinguish real experts from self-proclaimed ones. This has resulted in the circulation of false information and invalid conclusions in the media. The 2004 presidential election is a perfect example of this phenomenon, where a mathematician mistakenly interpreted the statistical data, claiming that the election had been hacked by Republicans. While her calculations were mathematically correct, her lack of political science expertise led to an invalid conclusion. Moreover, even former President Bill Clinton made a reference to this false claim. The Dr. Fox effect further explains that people often get swayed by individuals who can articulate complex concepts convincingly, whether it makes sense or not. These examples serve as a reminder to be mindful of claims made by self-proclaimed experts and to rely only on credible sources. The harm of false information. False information in the media is causing a harmful decrease in trust among individuals, which has a negative impact on society. Without trust, bribery and extortion become prevalent, and individuals become anxious. A lack of trust for outside individuals can result in poverty, like in the town of Montegrano, Italy. Americans' trust in each other has continuously decreased since the 1960s according to political scientist Robert Putnam. This decreased trust is causing less interaction among individuals, which is hurting society. Trust is crucial for a healthy and thriving society, and false information in the media is making it difficult for individuals to trust one another.
In conclusion, true enough, learning to live in a post-fact society establishes that the internet, with its near unlimited access to information, has created a breeding ground for the spread of misinformation and opinions, often leading to biased perspectives. Political partisanship, selective exposure, and the slipping standards of expertise contribute to vague generalities and misconceptions in our search for information. The tricky tactics of media corporations cloud our judgment, while the lack of trust in society leads to a host of challenges. Through this book's summary, we hope you have gained a clearer understanding of the impact of misinformation, and an appreciation for the role critical thinking plays in sustaining a healthy society.